And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the Wargame Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host from Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me are my co-hosts, everybody's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the Gimpy Gamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
Another glorious day, man. Another glorious day.
And the Wargaming Wizard from Oz, Kev Sharp from the Big Board. How's it going, Kev?
Wonderful. I'm so glad to be here.
Of course you are. It's always a great time to be part of Whiskey Charlie. But so we've been having some fun lately. We'll be getting to that a little bit later. About 6 Days in Fallujah, a game that's now on early access on Steam. First-person shooter, so it's a little different than your standard war game that we normally talk about. But we'll be getting into that a little bit later. First off, what have you guys been up to? Nate, you first.
Game-wise?
Game-wise and life.
It is not a good idea to film two tactical hex encounter skirmish games at the same time because you will confuse the rules between the
rules
two.
Creep, exactly.
Rookie YouTuber.
Lock and Load Tactical and what's the other one? Assault Sicily. I've got them both on separate tables. I'm filming them both at the same time, and I keep confusing the terrain effects charts and the line of sight rules between the two. Because they're similar, but just enough off.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be wrong on one or the other.
Yeah.
And people love to critique the most minor stuff when it comes to a game.
Oh,
like they
really?
see something in the background of your video or something like that. Like, why did you do that? Like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was, a little piece of one of my camera arms is one of the videos. But they felt the need to make a comment about it.
They were commenting about your camera arm being in the way?
Yes. Say this is the video here for me. So it's up right there and like just the tip of the corner, which I get the irritation because it was kind of in the middle of the screen a little bit, but
I could see because they paid that $30 admission fee for the $250 million budget movie.
Yeah. I gotta yell.
Uh-oh. So what about you, Kev? Well, he goes to yell at
I don't have a family emergency. That's what I know. Let's see. I actually am just getting back into some serious gaming. So I think the last time we spoke, I was talking about putting DAC up on the table, playing a small scenario. And since then, I've cranked out some Last Chance for Victory. I'm just looking at the screen here. Played the new Anthony Burkett Battles in the East, Volume 2. Set up the Killing Ground and played a couple of Lock and Load Tacticals. So I'm back.
You're playing all the small games, I see.
Yeah.
Killing Ground.
Just the small stuff.
Zip
I'm only playing a scenario. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Just the left flank, the Operation Goodwood.
Bismarck Solitaire. How is that?
I don't know. It just came in. I didn't know if you guys got this one out. Did you guys order
what it is? Who's it by?
Who is this by? Oh, it's by Worthington.
No, I did not get that one.
Yeah. This one actually just came in a little bit ago. They delivered rather quickly. It actually just went to Kickstarter, like 3-4 months ago or something like that.
Nice.
It's a solo only game, but you play as the Bismarck. So the German ships, the Bismarck, Prince Eugen, and a U-boat. And you're going after all the HMS ships, the Hood.
An U-boat. Can you link it to Wargame of the Year?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Is it app driven?
Yeah, it's an app driven.
Does it have
is it a detailed conflict simulation?
Define conflict simulation.
It actually does look pretty good. I'm gonna be filming this once I get done with the tactical games.
Nice.
Good old chap.
But the thing is when you do the tactical games, I expect better production quality, so I want you to get rid of the camera arm out of the way, fire the crew, get a new crew or something like that.
Now
they're all on strike. That's the problem. Yeah, they're all up by himself, right?
Yep. Writer and actor strike. You're out of luck now. But with those guys on strike, you may actually be able to get them cheap. The crew, they need work.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, I'm really looking forward to Deadpool 3, but they keep messing up Hollywood and all the movies. That's the only one actually worth watching, the shit that they got coming out.
Mission Impossible is good. Just saw that this weekend.
Yeah, you did say that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
It's Tom Cruise in it, and he's a douche.
Tom Cruise, I don't care what anybody says about him, what you think about him, stuff, but he always puts out good movies. And
he's a good actor. I'm not saying he's not a good actor.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, MI7, this latest one was really good. And he is smart. Remember, did you see Top Gun, the last one?
I've seen the first half of it.
Okay, well, remember at the beginning of the video, before the movie starts, he does a little intro talking about, hey, thanks for coming to see the movie, and we did all these effects and everything. He starts off Mission Impossible 7 the same way. Hey, thank you for coming out and seeing our movie. We hope we entertain you, and blah, 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 blah. I was like, he's smart. He knows to reach out to the viewer and thank them, just to be appreciative for them spending their money to come to the theater. And right away, it starts off with a good feeling towards the guy. So it's smart marketing on his part. It really is.
Yeah, Scientology is probably just telling him what to say.
Well, it's interesting. I was just talking to a guy about movies, and he's invested in a movie, and people aren't going to the cinemas after COVID. So everything's going straight to cable or equivalent to streaming, right? And so it's making it very difficult for cinemas to make any money, but then also lower revenue streams for the movie.
Well, I mean, think about it. When we went to see the movie the other day, my wife, because it was her birthday, she wanted to go to one of those places where you sit down and they bring your food to you and all that other stuff. It's just like similar to, it's similar to like you go to a regular theater. It's going to be the price wise. It's $30 just for 2 tickets. And that was at a daytime show. So it's like you're dropping $30 plus then they charge you a fee for that. Then you're dropping another like $40, $50 on food.
$30 a ticket?
$30 for the two.
Wow.
It was early.
15 a pop.
It was like $13.50 plus then it was fees that they add in.
Yeah.
And it was just insane, and it's just like going to a concert, which I bought my wife concert tickets for her birthday, and it was I don't even want to consider that anymore. How overly expensive it is for concerts now. They're pricing themselves out, but people are still going. So, but yeah, movies are very expensive. Like you said, people aren't going because it's like, well, I can watch it at home. I'll wait till it comes on streaming, and I'm not dropping $30, $40. If you take a family of 4, you're dropping like $80 before you even add food.
Yeah. Plus you can pause the movie when it's at home and get popcorn and cocktails. You don't have to pay $12 for bad popcorn.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that the other day. The fact that gaming has gotten so much more expensive in the past few years, but then I started comparing it against everything else, and everything has pretty much doubled in price in the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like John's saying, $25 for streaming.
That's what I'm saying. Is like everything has gone up. So comparatively speaking, the games that we get haven't gone up that much in comparison to everything else. So I think the value
maybe 20%, right?
Yeah. You're still
I'm not paying $24 to watch a movie on streaming one time. That ain't happening. That's for sure. So I'll wait. I have no need to see any movie that's currently out or coming out. I can wait.
Well, there are 2 movies this year that I'm going to see, and it just so happens that they're pretty much one after the other. Mission Impossible is one I was interested in. My wife wanted to see it for her birthday, and then Oppenheimer comes out. Aside from that, I have zero interest. I have zero interest in going to see a movie at the theater and spending that kind of money. But the cast in that movie, and I'm going to be thrilled that Cillian Murphy's finally going to get a lead in a really big movie. Then people could see how much of an amazing actor he is. It's like, yeah, good. I'm happy because I've been a fan of his for years.
Awesome.
So supply chain issues.
Yeah.
No longer supply chain issues.
Yeah, I think part of the complaint I saw about the writers and crews and stuff is that the and even some of the stand-in not stand-in, but supporting casts and stuff like that, their likenesses could be reused.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big issues, I think, is it was basically going to put them out of a job. So, which, sounds fair. But I don't know the whole story or the rest of the story.
That's a third movie too. The third movie. I completely forgot about mentioning that.
Yeah, we've seen that. It's an excellent movie. And
oh, wait, you already saw that one?
Yeah, everyone should go see it.
Yeah, definitely want to see that.
I want to see that one.
Yeah,
It's got a dedicated screen out here in Coville. Actually, there, whereas I guess you're seeing online, and I don't know how accurate it is, but folks are saying that cinemas are saying, air conditioning's out in that one, so here's a refund.
yes, I did see that.
They're not running it or whatever. They go, it's sold out, whatever the case may be, and then they go and there's nobody there. But
it's pretty underhanded when they're doing stuff like, oh, there's a toilet leak or there's something. It's like, yeah, but they're not taking out any of the other theaters. It's like, come on, man, let's not be that insulting.
Yes, I'm not sure what the deal is, but
why are they attacking that movie though? It's about saving kids from human trafficking. Who's going to be against that?
There's a whole conspiracy theory around that, I guess, isn't there? And you can probably guess. So anyway, getting back to wargaming, not historical games, but war games. Let's talk about war games. Mo, what about you? What did you play or you unboxed or released or did a tutorial on recently?
Well, I've been working on cranking out a couple of, I'm working on a third one right now, Learn to Place, because there was some delays in getting them done due to earlier, delays, me being tied up and then trying to get with the designers to sit down and do their games. So I've got 2 Learn to Plays just out. Then I did a preview on Paper Wars 103, which had second Fallujah, which is also the latest Learn to Play that we did. And I've got that going to go on my table this weekend. And I'm trying to get this other done first because we're flying out on Sunday to go to, we're going from the, from one fire to another fire by going from Texas to Florida. So it's like, oof, it's going to be hot, but that's where
it's supposed to be. It's still hot there too, right?
Oh yeah. It's hot everywhere. But
when
Florida's always hot. Florida? What's that?
When are you going to Florida?
Sunday.
Flying out Sunday. Not that far up above Florida. Just, swing on by.
Only going for a few days. We'll be back on Thursday. We're going down for like 4 days and then we're coming back on Thursday. And because my wife was like, oh, she wanted to go to Destin. And I'm like, you want to go to Destin? Everybody goes to Destin. There's going to be like 1 million people there. And then she's like, okay, we'll go to Clearwater. I'm like, what the hell's in Clearwater?
Scientology.
That's where we're going. What?
That's like one of their headquarters, dude.
Is it really?
Yes. Clearwater, Florida is one of their main headquarters.
Go join up. See what it's about.
There you go. Go see if I can hang out with Tom.
Dude, go do the little auditing thing where they have you hold the little electrodes and they ask you all the weird questions about yourself. The low price of $500.
Only $500, and then I can try to work on going clear. But yeah, that's it. And then of course, been playing a lot of 6 Days of Fallujah, both with you guys, and then of course, I've actually done a couple of pickup games with people I don't know, some randos. But the majority of the time, I play solitaire on that, which is really impossible.
You're a sucker for punishment, man. That's just impossible solo.
I won it once on Phase Line Henry solitaire. And I think that was a combination of, I was just really on that game and I got really lucky. It was just a combination of the two.
Yep.
Well, I've won Phase Line Henry kind of solo. I mean, I had you guys with me, but y'all die so quick that it might as well be solo.
After we killed 15 people each.
Well, you keep hanging out like right there in the middle with no like surrounding cover, but then you give me crap because I get behind a wall, to not get shot.
You hide over on the boundary of the map.
Yeah, you get like right up on the wall. Meanwhile, I'm like, Leroy Jenkins.
I'm up on the roof doing Leroy Jenkins style saw action, just pounding the crap out of all the bad guys coming, trying to save your ass.
It's fun.
Or something like that. Or getting shot in the back by whatever.
Getting shot in the back. Let's talk about getting shot in the back while we're at it.
Let's not do that.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that here in a couple minutes. But being that we are talking about 6 Days in Fallujah, who in the audience is aware of the game, and is there anybody out there that also plays the game? Because we are always in need of a fourth. So if you'd like to fill out the Whiskey Charlie Fire Team, you can definitely join us. Just let us know your Steam handle, and we'll friend you and bring you in and have some hella good times with it. But let us know in the chat if you guys are aware of the game, if any of you have it or are considering getting it, and we'll talk you into it by the end of the show because it's a good time.
It is a good time. I'm going to New Mexico. We're getting out of town.
Nice.
I think the 17th of August or 16th of August. So, and I think, fingers crossed, I get 9 days by myself. So, taking some games with me up to the mountains and doing a solo run. That'll be
Does
fun.
your wife know you're like this excited to get 9 days by yourself?
Actually,
He's used to it though. He's done that. He goes on his cab retreats.
She said I need it. She goes, I said, what would you think about me? What about, I said, first of all, about us going up to New Mexico, spend some time together, and then me having a little quiet time. She goes, that's a great idea. You haven't had any alone time. Now, keep in mind, she's been going to Austin like every 2 or 3 weeks for 3 or 4 days at a time. But I have to kind of manage everything that's here. So it would be cool just to all I have to do is buy groceries for myself. And
nice.
Yeah, so that'd be awesome. And roll dice. How bad could that be?
I mean, you have to have the staples: steak, potatoes, whiskey. You're good.
I'm good to go. We've got a great grill up there. I've got some dice.
Nice.
Good to go.
Nice.
I'm going to drive up and she'll fly up. So
you should do some live streaming.
She's excited to see it. Exactly. I think she is. Well, then she can have the pool guy. Miguel is planning on coming over. But other than that, it should be awesome.
Where are you going? You going anywhere, Nate?
No, we
are
putting our vacation fund towards something else. Part of it's going towards that surgery the missus had to have. And other than that, I actually mentioned it to you that we're planning on saving up and then doing the road trip with the kids. So either next year or the year after. That way, just spend a couple of weeks driving around the country, let the kids see everything, drive over to Texas, say hi to the guys.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Kind of tour around. We want to do some stuff that'll give the kids some memories. We figure if we get like an RV, we can just tour around, go everywhere.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, the ability to kind of camp anywhere. We just pull over, have a spot right there and give the kids a fun experience.
So cool. Remind me to send you some links from a friend of mine. He does a lot of RVing, and there's apparently a group where you can connect with these people as RVers, and you can actually park for free at their house, and they have hookups and water and electricity and the whole shooting match.
Oh, wow.
And it's like a community RVing, don't stay at the park, with a bunch of obnoxious drunk people or whatever it happens.
It's like RV bed and breakfast almost.
Basically, it's like Airbnb for RVs, and there's no fees involved or any of that sort of stuff. And so A, save a bunch of money, and B, you get to meet people and learn trail tips and whatever, and they can point you out to places to do.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because I actually had a relative one time a few years back camped out at my house, and they parked their RV, and the guy gave me a few $100s, so like, here, to cover the extra utilities. And I was like, no, don't worry about it. And he's like, trust me, take the money. So I did. And the end of the month, when we got our bills, I was shocked because it was 2-3 times higher. I did not know that the RV would use that much power. It I think almost tripled my power bill.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
That month. And then the amount of water went up. It was kind of negligible at the time, but it was a lot higher than I would anticipate. So if there's a way to bring those costs down, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah. So anyway, just letting you know. So I'll find out about it. They're leaving. They're going for 6 weeks. They're going to Canada.
Wow.
So Gamers Army. That's this October. Cool. Yeah.
So you can do that.
Let me know when it is.
So Brant, you're gonna have to let him know when it is, so that way he knows when to show up, or when to have an excuse not to show up. So John had mentioned, would it be interesting to play the Afghans in 6 Days in Fallujah? Well, first off, it was Iraq, not Afghanistan. Second is 6 Days in Fallujah is a little different. It's a cooperative game only. There is no PvP in this. It's actually you against the AI, which is actually really cool. And I think it's the best way to show that game and to show that environment, to give you an appreciation for the battle itself. Because this is, I think there was, who was it that mentioned that? I missed it. Here we go. Tim says that he retired from first-person shooters after Battlefield 3.
Right.
Well, this isn't Battlefield 3, nor is it Call of Duty. It's completely different. It's more like a horror movie or a horror game.
More like horror.
What's that?
It's more like getting your ass kicked every scenario.
Yes. Yeah.
The kill-death ratio is more accurate in the fact that in a heads-up game, when you're playing against a human opponent, you're going to have a 1-to-1 death ratio, roughly. But in this, it's 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1, and that's much more accurate to what we had out there because those guys did, spray and pray. They just, would hold up an AK or something like that. They didn't have the type of training or equipment that we used, but there was a lot more of them, right? There were hundreds of them to one of us. So we'd be in a situation where there's, 12 of us versus 100 of them, and we'd still come out on top because we had better equipment, better training, all the likes, and you're going to have that type of effect in the game. Remember, like the ones that we've actually won, maybe 1 or 2 of us will get killed, but at the end of it, it's saying 28 insurgents killed, 30 insurgents killed. Like that. So
it's always a 10 or 15-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
And that's much more accurate to what it was out there. I mean, they didn't have body armor. They didn't have night vision. They didn't have armored vehicles. I definitely
my awesome saw gun, right?
Yeah,
my application is it the 249? I think is it one of my one fire?
Yeah, 249 saw gun.
I'm just banging that bad boy so hard. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
or not.
Great job gunning down the back of Mo's head.
Yes.
But no, that was with an M16. He was the other night. Me and Kev went into play, and he didn't want to talk about this, but I'm going to because it was too funny. But we were going to play today. It's like, yeah, I'll play, and Nate's like, no, I can't. And so I was like, all right, well, me and Kev will go in there and play. So we go in there, and we're just chatting, and I'm like, Kev's like, yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm like, oh man, he's already hit the sauce pretty hard. We get in there and we're doing apartment building, and apartment building, the only way to get there is to basically, you got to throw smoke out there and get yourself a nice smoke screen to run ahead of the track to get to the alley before the sniper in a mosque takes you out. He's up in the parapets. Well, I'm out there chucking smoke. I put out like 2-3, and I go and I get a refill off the track, and I go to throw more, and then I'm shot. I'm like, what the hell? And when you get shot in this game, it's handled a little different than what you'd see from like Call of Duty or whatever. Call of Duty, you get shot, you go behind cover, and it kind of heals itself. Here, when you get shot, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second, you got to stop. It'll tell you check for wounds, and you got to hit F and check for wounds. And it'll tell you whether you're wounded or not. It'll either, the screen will go back to normal, or it'll still kind of pulse red, and it'll let you know that you have a wound you need to fix. And then you do your pop rocks and band-aids, like I always call it, and you'll heal yourself up. And then you're back in, but you're a little diminished as far as your movement because your
speed and
stick around.
Like slower, less accurate.
Yeah, which I think is kind of neat. But what they're doing when you take the shot and you're checking for a wound is they're kind of trying to model the adrenaline dump you get from a round coming at you, or maybe it hit your body armor or something like that, or hit the wall next to you, sprayed some rock in your face. So you don't know if you're hit or not. You got to check like you would in real life. So I think that's a really cool way of modeling it without having everything be auto heal, and you got to heal, yourself. And then sometimes you get put down and you got to call for a teammate to come and do the pop rocks and band-aids, bring you back up, which is even cooler because then you're really hobbled when you got to sprint, you'll just almost fall over, which is pretty cool. But so Kev's behind me and I'm chucking smoke, and then I'm like, pow. I get hit from behind. I'm like, I'm standing behind the track. It can't be the sniper. What the hell? And then Kev goes, dude, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, did I just shoot you? Like, yeah, I think you did. He goes, I was trying to throw a grenade and I popped you in the
grenade. I pressed G and then I pressed the fire button and I shot you. I could have sworn I pressed G.
Whoopsie.
Maybe I pressed H. Oh well.
No. G and mouse clicking are nowhere near each other.
Hey, John, just so you know, that Burning Banners is actually going to be a pretty cool game. So I don't think it's against your better judgment. I think it's a good call. It's going to be a pretty
against your judgment. That one actually does look really good.
Yeah,
I like that one.
And then Ghost Recon, the original one shot, one kill countryside shooter, kind of sort of like that. Although one of the
That
things
was the
that
game for a while.
that was, yeah, one of the things that does kind of drive us nuts. We've talked about this ourselves amongst ourselves. We'll talk about it here. Is both good and bad in the modeling, because you have to remember this is early access, which means it's still in development. They're still working on things. One of the things that is a little frustrating at times, but it is excusable from real life, is sometimes you hit these guys 4, 5, 6, 7 times before they go down. Now, in the real world, they were hopped up on adrenaline and everything else. But the frustrating thing is they're still accurate, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
Even after 5 or 6 rounds, it's like, damn.
Yeah, they don't seem to suffer the same effects that we do when we start shooting. Although they tend to go down pretty quickly with the saw, but I'm pumping 20 rounds into them. So
I think you would probably be able to still get in on it, Brant, if you send an email to Bill. I'm sure he'd let you jump on late. I mean, don't you think?
What does it matter? Just order it anyway. It's all the same price.
There is a cost difference. He raises the cost of it after the
Kickstarter. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Burning Banners was what, 89 now. I think after the Kickstarter, it's going to be 110, 120,
something like that. Yeah.
Thanks for playing.
So it is cheaper if you get it early on.
That's what right now we're talking about. Stacking limit is whether that'll probably be just through the Compass site. I don't think they're going to do a late pledge, although they may. I would hope that they would, because if they're going to run a Kickstarter like you normally do, you will open up late pledges for the people who may have missed it. So that way you
can do the pay later part.
Well, no, just for the Kickstarter itself, because they're not doing a regular website thing. This was straight
it's
Kickstarter.
Not on the website. It's on.
No, it was a straight Kickstarter. So they should.
No. Oh, I didn't know that. So they just went.
This is a full-on Kickstarter. Yeah, it was a full Kickstarter.
Why wouldn't he have it on the website? That's just dumb.
I'm sure that'll happen later, but this is not a Kickstarter that's coming out in 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. This is not like the normal Kickstarter where they kind of go into Kickstarter and say, "Hey, let's run this for 10 days."
A development opportunity.
Yes, it's going to be. They had stretch goals and everything else, so this is going to be done a little bit differently. It's going to be coming out next year. So
that's cool.
Yeah, Bill usually doesn't do stretch goals.
Yeah, no, they did. They did full-on stretch goals and everything else. Yeah.
Well, I just mean like generally when he does a game.
Yeah.
There's no stretch goals or pledge levels.
No, that's because the game's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's different.
Yeah. This is a true Kickstarter,
Speaking of which, what was the one he did right before this? Oceans of something?
Oceans of Fire.
Yeah. Oceans of Fire.
Some fantasy game. Yeah.
No. It's not a fantasy game.
World War II Pacific.
World War II game.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I realized I forgot to back the Kickstarter. And I was like, well, son of a bitch, I might have to figure something out here. And then all of a sudden I get charged for it. And it turns out I had pre-ordered it on the website. So if I backed the Kickstarter, I accidentally would have bought it twice, which I've actually done with Compass before. I had to send them an email. I'm like, look, if I buy a game twice, like, let me know and don't charge me for it, because I screwed that up occasionally. So I ended up getting the game anyway. I remember it looked pretty good. I was telling people to get that one as well.
They've sent me email before and said, "Hey, you've got 2 of these. Then we're going to cancel them."
That's good. That's good.
I've done that with Compass, and I've done that with GMT. When GMT revamped their website, I don't remember what I did, but I accidentally, you see a game, you get excited about it, like, okay, yeah, I'll get that one. And you put it in their pre-order system, then you forget about it.
Yeah.
Right.
I want another one.
Yeah, and you see it a month later, and you get excited about it again. You pre-order it again.
You get 2.
Yeah.
I don't like GMT's back office order, personal profile ordering, checking system. It's really hard to keep track of what you have ordered, what you haven't ordered. It's kind of, maybe there's a sort function I haven't found, but it's kind of we shipped this one to you. This one's pre-ordered, this one's packing, and then there's, 10 other things. And I don't know, it's frustrating. I like the MMP system, and I like the Compass system now that nearly everything is all on one ordering system. It's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compass, it's pretty easy to tell if you've got it or not, because what is it? It's like, it actually lists down what it is. It's,
right. It used to be just an order number, and you couldn't tell what it was. And then they've got that Gumroad thing, and there's like 2 different places you have to go look at everything. And I've got So I went and canceled all my old pre-orders on the old system and then redid them all on the new one. So
Yeah, I like the way they're doing it now. I haven't ordered anything from MMP in a while.
I did. Goose Green.
Yeah, Goose Green.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is that?
And,
TCS.
TCS.
Yeah, TCS for
It's pretty complicated. You wouldn't like it. There's no minis.
What is wrong with minis? Minis?
Nothing's wrong with
Just saying,
minis.
you play a lot of mini games. I don't. It's great.
Yes, I like minis.
Diversity, man. Diversity.
Now, there's a good mini game that's actually getting ready to release. I've talked about this one previously. Well,
which one?
Stuff out. The 148 Tactic.
I don't remember that.
You guys never seen that one?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
It's a small game, small boxes, and each one of the boxes will have a handful of pieces of terrain and 4 guys. So it's fire team based. 1-48 Tactic. It'll have 4 minis. You'll have a fire team, so it's really scaled into that small level. You don't have 30 guys, 40 guys, 50 guys, anything like that. You can add more. You can have as many guys as you want, but generally you're going to have like 4 German paratroopers against 4 American airborne or something like that. You know?
Is it
okay?
Like, whoa! What scale is it? Is it 148?
148.
Or is that just?
It's roughly 32 millimeter scale.
Okay, but and how detailed is it? Or
That's decently detailed. They've got the British version is the one that's actually getting ready to release now, but they've got I think 5 boxes.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah.
Get the infantry starter pack. You got Fallujah, U.S. Airborne starter pack, Volksgrenadier, and I think that's the only 4 listed. And then they get British First Airborne.
Yeah.
Oh, faction special dice. Jesus.
No, it's just D6. They're not really all
casualties.
Yeah, you can get custom dice if you want to, but you don't need to.
Yeah. The excellent thing with it is it has very nice resin terrain. So you'll have like 4 pieces of the terrain, and it's got the little round cutout in it, so you can actually put the minis in there with them.
That's pretty cool.
Stop trying to crawl there, you little shit.
64-page rule book. How to play video. Okay, I'll have a look at it. Not that I'm a huge World War II skirmish level guy, but hey, there you go. Now we lost him.
Yeah, he just went away. All right, bye, Nate. We'll kick him off.
All I did was stand up, dummy. I grabbed the box down. Let's see if I can get it.
So here's a question from Charles. Rebel Fury. What game is that? Is that
there you go. Kind of
ships?
Rebel Fury 4 years waiting. Can we cancel or? Well, you can cancel. I don't know much about that.
Nope.
Let's look it up and see. Rebel Fury.
GMT had some of their games on P500 for.
Well, I'm definitely the wrong person to ask on this one. It's 6 battles from the campaigns of Chancellorsville and Chickamauga. So I am not a ACW guy, really. It's designed by Mark Herman. It's the volume 1 of the Civil War Heritage series. So I'd say it's probably going to be a good game.
Oh, I know what this is. Let me just see if I can find a photograph to make sure I'm not talking on my backside. It's not even a map.
See you, Brant. Thanks for coming in.
I thought it was going to be, or it might be the Gettysburg game that they released in the C3I magazine, that it might be that system, but I don't know if it is.
I can't get anything to show up.
Are those pre-painted or you paint them yourself?
No, I painted them.
Okay.
But that's the scale of the 148 Tactic stuff.
Those blue helmets are going to stand out, man.
As they
great.
tend to. Ask any UN troops. They tend to stand out.
Oh, the components are actually really nice when it comes to their stuff. Damn, why is the green screen killing me?
Yeah, there is actually nothing for that game on Wargame Geek either. So
really?
5 pictures of the little blurb.
Let me see here. What do they got? Yeah, they don't have any pictures up here either. They just have the blurb on it on the GMT site. In art and final development, so they don't even have playtest art or anything up on it. There's really nothing on there. So
I really liked Battles in the East. That volume 2. DG finally released a game that wasn't
garbage.
Yeah,
kind of hot garbage. That was my one hesitation on that. That's why I didn't catch the. I don't really pay them a lot of mind, so I didn't catch the pre-order announcement on that. I missed it. Right. And then when I saw it was, Anthony had talked about it, and I was like, oh, I should probably pay attention to that. But it's decision. Do I get it or not? And I kind of was torn. And they had both up. And
you mean like their counters?
Like what?
Like their counters?
Like their games? It's such a hit and miss with their games that, and I am still, okay. Some people may say it's ridiculous, but I'm still really pissed off about Iwo Jima, D-Day Iwo Jima. That game was such a hot mess, and the rules that were supposed to have been corrected are still, 3 years, 4 years later, I don't think they still have it corrected.
They still haven't done a errata for that yet?
No, they were going to rewrite the rule book. And then they came out with D-Day at Saipan, I think it was. And that rule book is a hot mess too, from what I understand. And I was just like, they need to pause doing any more of those, because when John had his system going, John Butterfield, it was rock solid. Then they wanted to step away, do something a little different. Okay, fine. You want to do something different. There's nothing wrong with that, but play test it, make sure it's really tight, make sure the rules are understandable. And they didn't. And I was just like, ugh. So that was literally the last time I bought any of their stuff.
Why? That's what I don't get. Is D-Day at Omaha is a classic. It is one of the just top solitaire games. Excellent system, diceless system. I mean, just the epitome of what you're talking about when you start talking about real hardcore solitaire wargaming. And for them to butcher it with Iwo is just bad. Like,
yes,
no forgiveness for that.
Yeah, it was. And, the whole thing of taking the fire dots off the map and putting them on a separate sheet, and you're looking back and forth. And some people are in support of it, saying, you get used to it. I'm like, I don't want to get used to it. I want to look at everything on the map so I can see the situation, and I don't have to go, okay, where was I? Put my finger here and try to figure it out and go, okay, it's this one.
It breaks the immersion, number one. And number two, you make mistakes, and older you get, the slower you get, so you mess stuff up. But that was one of the challenges with Kevin Zucker's Napoleonics games. We have the chart on the side with the leader on the map, and then the formation with all the units. The units are on the map.
Yeah.
But then the strength points, how many each one has, there's a sliding scale off map. So before you go to do any combat, you got to put your finger on the stack, look at every division, add up all the points, and go, oh, I have 12 points. Go back to that, do it for the other side, and gosh, what a mess. I just put pollard chits underneath all the counters, and just did that.
Look, from someone watching the game being played, all right, like D-Day at Omaha, I watched a video of this guy playing the game, and at first, because it was before I understood the game, I didn't know what was going on, but after about the second, third video, I understood how he was playing the game and probably could have sat down and played it myself. But with what you're describing, you wouldn't be able to do that with Iwo. You wouldn't be able to watch someone film a video on it and then actually be able to get anything out of the video, because so much of it is taken away from the game. And that's so disappointing.
Yeah. I think the good news is that with the Battles in the East volumes, that it's built on an older system that has sort of been updated and refreshed. So I know Compass has got a game coming out with that system, as does Legion.
Yes.
Greg Blanchett. Is it Blanchett? Is that right? Is that the last name? Not Blanchett. No.
Fawcett? Wait.
Greg. No. He was at the Dallas con.
Yeah, Chris Fawcett. Oh wait, no, it wasn't Chris Fawcett. No. It was I just totally somebody. Yeah, I'm getting myself mixed up because I'm trying to look up the second game here.
anyway, it's built on a very stable, well appreciated system. And then what Anthony has done is then for each scenario, there's a scenario card that has its own unique rules for that particular scenario to give that nice historical figure without trying to build a 34-page rule book. So it's kept nice and simple at 10, 12, or no, it's a 14-page rule book, and then 1 page of rules and charts and bits and pieces for each scenario. Had a lot of questions from folks about value for money because it's 2 scenarios for $100, right? But you get larger counters and a mounted map, so a double-sided mounted map. So
I got the first game up there, and now the second game. That's what I was looking for the links for. So those are the links.
I think it's got enough replay value in it based on my first play that you'll get a couple of plays out of each game. So if it takes 3 hours to play, you get 12 hours of gaming out of it. Then it's probably not too bad.
And that's solo. Then if you play opposed, you get a couple more. So
exactly.
But there's a decisions game that I've been thinking about getting again because I had it at one point, but it was early on, and I don't think I spent enough time with it, and I want to try it again. And that was Struggle for the Galactic Empire. Yeah. I tried it early on, but it was like right when I first got into the channel, and then I ended up trading it away, and now I'm kind of regretting that. And I wish
you can still pick it up used, or somebody else trade for it. Yeah, it's not expensive at all.
Yeah, you can get it for like $40 or $50.
Yeah, it is Greg Blanchett. Yeah, so
okay,
I was right. And so he's got a couple of games, and they use that same system. Now Greg's enhanced it, just like New England Simulations has with the Killing Ground, but it still does the job. And so I think Anthony's is probably a little cleaner and simpler than Greg's versions, although Greg's also got another system with Legion games. He's got a lot going on. So
Brian says, finally, hello, everyone. He was having connection issues, and he got in just in time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you next one. I'm only kidding.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Nick is right here on this one. The production quality is quite good because I was really hesitant to pick it up, and then I had heard initially positive, good things. Nick was one of the people that told me. He says, "No, it's actually production quality is good." So I was like, "Okay, I'll risk it. I'll get one. I'm not going to buy both. I'm going to get one." And then when I got the first one, I was like, "Wow, this is actually really good."
Yeah, I think it's better than good. With the nice high quality chart. The
mounted
rules are good, clean mounted map.
Remind me, what game is this again? The good production quality.
Battles in the East.
Battles in the East. And that's by Decision Games.
Yep.
Have to check it out.
Yeah, there's volume 1 and 2 are available now, and they have 3 and 4 that are on pre-order still. So now I'm kind of tempted.
Their counters tend to rip, right? When you're
punching. These are thick counters.
These are thick counters, and they're 5/8. They're big ones.
I all the games of theirs that I tried were older, so it was probably before they changed.
The old half-inch counters that were thin, which I actually love. I love thin half-inch counters. I just always like them for playing the game with it. It works great, like in the old magazine games. Right. But their quality is always either decent and they separated okay, or they would tear. There was really no middle ground. You either got a good copy or you got a shitty copy. And that was the thing that always frustrated the hell out of me with decision stuff.
Yeah, you had to take really a Acro blade and go through and trim them up before you cut them out or punch them out. Otherwise, they would tear off the back.
Yep. So it's good to see that is not the case with this at all. So I'm really happy for Anthony. And you can tell, at least in my opinion, that I think he was really involved in this project. Making sure that the production quality was good, because this one is really, really good. So
might have to give it a shot.
And Nick says, the only issue I found is in volume 2, the Guderian scenario has a messed up German OOB, which requires a player to do some deduction. So you get a bonus metagame in it, Sherlock Holmes and the missing German German units.
What's the name of the game again? I'm gonna type myself a note. So
Battles in the East,
Wow.
Volume 1 and 2.
you know, you don't have to talk to me like I'm an idiot. Just have bad
Will do.
memory. No love.
I don't know if I clicked or not. I think I did.
Well, he does say that you must have, because it says your counters look rounded. Did you round them?
Yeah, I must have. Yes. There you go.
Oh, Tony's checking in. He's on vacation in Finger Lakes, region of New York, wine country, but found a great distillery. Single malt, 140 proof. Nice. Promised land. Especially if you find that in wine country, because you're like, grapes.
Exactly.
Gosh. Exactly. Nice. So, so that one was really, I was really impressed with and very happy with. So now I need to get volume 2. And then I'm thinking I'll probably just go ahead and pre-order 3 and 4 to have them all, because Anthony's a good guy. He's a proven designer, and these look like you were saying, these are no brainers. You can sit down and play them at any time. You can play them solitaire. You can play them opposed. Not a heavy lift at all. It's a rule system that most people are already familiar with if they don't already know it real well. And you're talking 15 pages of rules plus 1 page of setup with whatever rules are for that scenario.
Setup and some special conditions. You know, these guys can do that this turn, but next turn it goes back to normal. Blah blah blah. Off you go. Right.
And from what I understand, it is the same rule system for all 4 volumes, correct?
Correct.
So that's even better. That's even better, because you're learning 1 rule set and you're getting 8 games, because each box comes with 2 games. So that right there is pretty fantastic.
Wait, do you mean like 2 scenarios or 2 games?
2 games. 2 scenarios, but really 2 games, because they each have their own set of counters. It's low counter density, but you're also using 1 mounted map board that's 2-sided. So you get 2 separate maps. So you are getting
like Brief Border Wars.
Kind of like Brief Border Wars, yes.
All right. Yeah, I get what you mean. And I liked Brief Border Wars.
Brief Border Wars is fun as hell. And it's a really light lift. 4 pages of rules plus a 4-page, scenario rule book.
Yeah, there was a good amount of game in that box, especially for what you were paying for it, or something like $50 for the game.
Is he doing another volume?
Yeah, he's doing volume 2. They're doing a East Front one too, I believe, as well. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And
Brian Train. Brian Train's doing East Front.
He's doing volume 2, and then there's also going to be another one that I believe is going to be a quad in the East Front. So it's using a similar type of setup. So it's going to be 2 games like that, aside from Brief Border Wars 1. And okay, so Doc answered is what he's saying.
Speaking of multiple volumes, did I show you guys this before? This one actually finally came in.
Nice.
Under
the Southern Cross.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you had been talking about
the Flying Colors.
I only have the Flying Colors Deluxe. I've not played it yet, but that is something I've got to be in the right mindset. Like I need to sit down and watch Hornblower or Master and Commander, and then I'm like, okay, now I want to go play a naval game. Then I'll sit down and I'll play it. But it's not the first go-to that I'll have off my shelf.
I'm sorry. I've got to ding GMT on this because they are really wonky when it comes to their complexity scaling. They say this is a 6, right? The Flying Cross game, but they also rate what is that hard one? The card game, the
Fields of Fire.
Fields of Fire. That's it. Damn, I was brain fart. Couldn't remember. They rate that as a 6, like same rating as Flying Colors, and they are way polar ends, right? If Flying Colors is a 6, then Fields of Fire should be like an 8, 8.5. It's way more difficult than Flying Colors. But it's almost like they just, let's just put 6 on all of it. 1 graphic we have to worry about. Well, just go with that same thing for the box. What is it in complexity? It's 6. What is it for solitaire playability? It's the 6.
You know what, though? In fairness to GMT and any publisher, it's very simple to grab the wrong graphic for stuff like that. because you'll have all the graphics 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10 or 9 or whatever you go to. And it's very easy to insert the wrong one. And you're like, that's good enough. Or it gets overlooked.
Right.
Or the interpretation of the person who's doing it says, it's only a 6. Isn't that difficult? So there's multiple ways that can happen. What the hell did you just do? Don't tell us. Don't tell us.
The little squishy balls. You know those little squishy balls? I'm sitting here squeezing it in my hand while I'm talking to you guys, and it just exploded all.
Yes, I noticed. That's why I was like, don't tell us what you're doing. We really don't need to know. It's a family show.
Yeah. This is disgusting. All right. Continue.
So yeah, it's 1 through 9. So some go to 10, some go to 9, and it is easy for that to get mistakenly put in there, or they just say we're good at 6 or whatever.
Which it makes no sense why they would do that. I talked about it when I was reviewing Fields of Fire, that I think they put 6 because they don't want to rate it too high because people might get scared off of it. But in a way, I think they're doing a disservice to people, because the people who want the higher complexity game are going to look at it and go, well, it's not rated that high. And then those who don't want a higher complexity game will look at it and go, oh, it's a 6. It's not too bad. And they'll get it. And then they'll find out it's way more complex than they think. And now if they're looking at another game, they're, well, this is a 6 or this is a 5. And that other one was so hard. So I think I'll avoid that. You know what I mean? So it behooves them more to just be honest and upfront about what it is instead of trying to fudge it, I guess, best way to put it.
Yeah. But, and then Tony says, oh, errata mistakes. Please don't mention us. According to some people, Tony, errata should never happen.
Oops.
Yeah. But I don't know if you saw me entering Mike's comment, Nate. It was aimed at you. What? And you're not paying attention. You're still.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah.
This stuff is sticky, man. I can't touch my keyboard.
Well,
Mo, you got me overly excited, buddy.
You're gonna go blind. The whole thing is with this going to the Fields of Fire. Is that's another one I'm looking forward to them having the revamped rule book out on that, because that is one game that I have, the Marine one that I got that I want to try, but
you haven't tried it?
No, because I've heard a lot of negatives about the rules, and I'm like, I don't have the extra time to sit down and just dig through it.
It takes time.
So I would rather have a smoother rule book to go through it, because otherwise I will be frustrated, and I don't want to be frustrated with that one. Like, I ended up getting frustrated with D-Day at EWO. I was just like, I tried it.
It's not frustrating like D-Day at EWO.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, frustrated, like, damn it, I wanted this to be good. The rules are a mess. And then I just put it on the side, come back to it thinking, okay, there's going to be a errata 6 months, a year later, especially when they were told that it was going to be worked on. And like a year and a half later, I'm like, okay, no updated rule book. That's it. I'm selling the damn thing. And I'm never looking back. And I'm pissed about that. Mm-hmm.
It's like sitting through a lecture of given by that. Who's the guy's name? The one that sits there.
Ben Hall?
Bueller.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, so dry and just. I'm not trying to say the rule book is boring per se, but it's deep, it's complex. It's not written in a very easy to understand manner, and you're looking at it and it's a just huge page of small text, no pictures. You feel like you're reading a college textbook, right?
Yeah.
It is not an easy thing to slog through. So once you get done, it's not bad, but just getting it done is the problem, and it wears on you. You're tired when you're done reading that rule book.
Well, Mike, you can make a PSA as long as it has nothing to do with Gimpy's sticky fingers.
This stuff actually.
We already know that he needs to go to the doctor. And Tony's saying the new rule book is so much better. So hopefully that is the case, because that's something that I'm going to eventually get to once they get the, updated rule book out. It would be nice to get a print copy of it.
Look, when it comes
is it not in the most current volume? I thought it was in.
It'll be for that. They're going to have in the newest one they're coming out with. From what I understand, they're supposed to come out with all the new deluxe instructional stuff, which means a new rule book and an intro, and then I think something like an intro scenario or something that walks you through the whole thing. So there's 3 things I believe that they're going to do to ease the learning curve. And I was like, that is more like it, because I'm sorry, I don't have the time to sit down and spend 20 hours in 1 week to try to learn one scenario or get myself through a scenario of a game.
Look at it this way. And this is something that I've said about the game and its system for a while now. When it comes to simulating, giving orders from on high and the dissemination of those orders down through the chain of command, the way it would be done in, actual combat, there's no better game that simulates how it actually works. If you do it properly, it's more effective and you get more out of your order, right? Because I forget the specifics, but you get something like so many order tokens that you get to use. And if it's passed down using the chain of communication, radio or whatnot, you can get it down to your troops and activate more troops and have more done through that single activation. But if you want to do an emergency, hey, this guy does this, you can do that, but it's nowhere near as effective. It'd be like the colonel picking up the phone and calling the sergeant and saying, do this. Yes, can he do that? But you're not going to do that often, right? He's going to talk to the captain, who's going to talk to the LT, who's going to talk to, so on, the gunny down on the line. And they're going to disseminate the orders to all the platoons.
But this is a company commander. You're the company commander and you're issuing the orders, right?
Yeah.
So does it follow BAMSIS?
I don't know what BAMSIS is.
The fuck? How do you not know BAMSIS?
I don't know BAMSIS. Maybe that's
begin planning range reconnaissance, make reconnaissance, or make the plan, complete the plan, issue the order, and supervise. You don't remember that?
They might have said it to me.
Oh my God!
They got blown out of my head.
And this is why things get blown up.
Yes.
You weren't paying attention to the plan.
Exactly.
Yes, it does that well.
Friends.
The game is awesome, and not to mention the fact that you go through the different locations, right? And you'll come up to this location. Certain locations will have inherent defense if it's forested or a building or whatnot. But then you will encounter an enemy troop, and then you find out if that is infantry or a machine gun or bazooka or a tank or whatever. And it's really cool. When the game works, it is awesome, but it's a slog getting it to work. Once you finally understand the system and can play it, it's great. It's just not a very quick process. You're not going to sit down and actually play it that day.
How many hours? How many hours are you in? How many hours are you in before you got to that point? Over 20?
Many hours. Okay. It was days.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah.
I've got the Marine one as well, and I'll wait.
Yeah.
They're good.
They're good games. They're just not
easy.
But it's been years, right? That thing's been out forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been out forever.
The second one's been out for 3-4 years now.
I know.
It's longer than that. It came out not long after I moved in this house, and I've been in this house for almost 5 years now.
Crazy. It's really like people talk about GMT's the customer service. I'm not seeing that. Just by the by.
Well, I mean, there are some publishers that are going to get raked over the coals more than others. Some that are going to get given passes for whatever reason. Right. And that's fine. But every publisher makes mistakes. And that one is a big one. Sure. The same with Last 100 Yards is another big one, I think, because that's a rule book that needs work as well. And I think that is because that is such a unique game. That is such a unique game. It needs to be more clear. Oh no, it works, but I mean, it needs more clarity to it. And my point is they're on the third game now, coming out with the fourth, I think it's, or coming out with the third.
They have 2 out. They're coming out with the third.
They have 3 up now.
Yeah, so by now that rule book should be pretty tight, because it's the same system with additions for each one. But by now that rule book should be real tight because it is a unique enough system that if you frustrate someone at the beginning in a way that's not explained clearly, you're going to lose somebody that you could retain and have them come in for every game in the series.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the games that we're talking about are games that generally someone's not going to get unless they know what they're getting into in the first place.
True.
Fields of Fire is not something that a just run-of-the-mill person is going to be walking through a game store and go, oh, this looks good, I'll get this. It's going to be a pretty knowledgeable war gamer, I think, who's going to get something like that.
Well, you would hope.
Well,
So the PSA for Meandering Mike, who gave you the directions to get to the doctor, he says that he's giving away 5 games and an expansion on his channel, drawing to happen when he exceeds the 500 subscriber limit, which he's at 493 now. So sign up soon.
Let's
go
go.
over there and subscribe to his channel. If you're not already, you should. You definitely go check it out. Subscribe and get a free game.
wait, what games is he giving away out? I might give him a shout out. And then he'll give away 4
I
games.
just gave him a shout out without getting any games. Jeez. Greedy bastard.
Go check out Mike for his 4-game giveaway. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
And Grognar Rich says 0 defects cost too much. The key is how the company follows up, and consumers should not bear the cost. Yeah, agree. However, we're wargamers, and we understand that that's one of the things that does happen because it's a niche market, and when you have a real small niche market, it's gonna unfortunately go that way. I do agree that it is something that they should tighten up and correct, but it's just something that should.
Well, but I think his point about not bearing the cost is that, for instance, with Pacific War, if you want all the errata counters and the corrections, you have to go buy a $40 magazine, right? That's not.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Well, I like the way Compass does it, where they send you a letter that has the counters in it.
Yep.
You're good. You're taken care of. I think that's the responsible way to handle it. If you have to make that correction, you send it to the people you know bought the game.
Yep.
Mo, you're muted. Dummy.
Oh, sorry. And we have a special guest here tonight. Admiral Seabass is here. How's it going? And he's got Global War 1985, and I'm going to put a link up here. I had to go look it up for Operation Clancy. And that was a thing that he's got on his channel right now. You got to go check it out because Global War 1985 is like Big Boy Risk on steroids.
Wait, is that the one that I covered?
I don't know if you covered it. It's the giant map with miniatures and it's nice.
Yeah, I did an 2-hour long interview with that guy.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that you did one too.
Yeah, remember that's the one I was telling you guys about. That
nice.
Might try to arrange to do a playthrough with those guys.
No, that wasn't the same one. That was a different one.
You sure?
Yeah. This is modern 1985.
Yeah, this was modern.
No, that one was a different game. That one was a different game.
You guys are hilarious.
What are you talking about? I remember it was called Global War.
Hey, Seabass, did you talk to Nate before or not?
He'll that's the easy way.
Because he'll remember. I don't trust your memory, and I don't think I remember the same one. I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of the game.
But the name of the game was Global War. Global War something strategic, whatever.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. But Global War 1985 is pretty sweet. It's historical
like,
board games. Yeah.
It's like kind of Axis and Allies, risky. It's got the little miniatures with ships and tanks and infantry and all that.
So he's saying that he will talk to you, which means he has not talked to you before. Have you not talked to him before yet, Seabass, about 1985?
I mean, the game sounds exactly like that one I covered.
It's similar, but this is different. It has all the different miniatures, subs, aircraft, everything. You build your task forces, the whole 9 yards. It's literally the entire globe. It is really, really cool. And
Code Atlas, a global strategy game. That's
once again, I'm proven right. So shut up.
I
knew I was right.
But you can understand.
You were right about that other game. Well, I can understand why because you're over there with goop on your hands. But
the goop's gone.
You finally cleaned up.
Jolly Green
sticky hands, me.
So he even verified with me that it's a negative. So now you're going to have him on your channel now. Talk to him as well.
Is he the designer of the game?
Yes, and that is coming out from Historical Board Games, if I recall the name of the website. And Seabass can correct me. They did they've done.
Maybe Seabass could pop the link up for his website.
Yes, let me see here.
Because that would be helpful. I'd like to have a look at it.
I might have looked there before.
Historicalboardgaming.com.
If it's more serious than that, that'd be cool. Whoa.
Oh. I didn't do it, I swear.
And they say they say that movie Freedom is not important.
Yes,
another
it is.
child abduction. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I'll cover this. I like
not to get too deep in the weeds on any of that stuff, but you can't catch people trafficking children. There's one way to guarantee that you don't have that problem again. Go some
Yes,
motherfuckers.
sir. Yep.
So yes, historical board gaming is correct. Send a link after takes trash. Yes, take the trash out from Mrs. Seabass. So yes, he's got to do his honeydews. But yeah, I just posted up a link here for the website, historicalboardgaming.com, and it's Global War 1985. It's not completed and available yet, but it's very close. But he's got really cool videos on his channel. So go check it out. And this is a game where
I know what game that is. I stumbled on it when I was looking for the little stands for Axis and Allies. I stumbled on that website and I did a little.
This would be a great game if we're all at like WBC or at CSW Dallas or something like that, where we were all together and get a couple other people and like 4, 5, 6 people, and it just say we're doing nothing else but drinking whiskey, eating cheeseburgers, and playing this game. It would be epic. It really would be epic.
Yeah, I definitely want to cover that one. You're right, it does look good.
Yeah, and it's going to need a lot of space. It's a big game. So,
Seabass, just shoot me an email. It's in the description of all my videos, and we'll.
John, it is not out of stock. It is not in stock yet. So, Seabass will be able to.
John's trying to buy it straight away.
Yeah. That's true.
Take a breath. It's okay, buddy. We're going to get you.
John, you want to buy some copies? You can buy one for me, Nate, and Kev right now. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's even nuking involved, like Seabass is talking about here. So it's a really ambitious game, really big game, really neat. It's going to catch a lot of attention. You're sitting at a con and you're playing it. I think it's going to be one of those experience games where you just have so much fun playing it.
That's kind of like World of War 85. That caught a lot of attention.
Kind of.
85 in the name catches a lot of attention.
Yes.
Yeah. These get-togethers.
I think that caught attention just because when they were doing those big mega map scenarios, and you've got 3 or 4 battalions each running around at platoon scale, that's just cool, and it looks gorgeous, and it plays fast, so has a lot of attraction. This I haven't seen anything, so I'm excited to learn more about it. But so it's global in nature, and it's Access and Allies are a sort of complexity, but juice.
It's
more juice.
Access and Allies for grown-ups. How's the best way I could put it? I had it snappier one other time. It was like it's basically Access and Allies on steroids for grognards.
Yeah, like
it's not overly complex, but it's not simplistic. It's pretty streamlined, but it's crunchier still. There's still enough crunch in it. I have not played yet, but I've looked through the rules and I've talked to Seabass about it, and he and I have had multiple conversations about it, and he's tried to get me to go up to Oklahoma to play. I just haven't had the time to get up there. But it's definitely the type of game that I think you can really just enjoy, and it is the best, I think would be the best with a group, because then you break into teams, NATO and Warsaw Pact, and then you have your plans and you all do your things, and then there's trash talking and beer drinking.
So
and
how many
drinking.
players though? Like, can someone play East Germany or Belgium?
8? Is it 8?
What is the max players, Seabass? He says it's global. There are scenarios for just Pacific and Atlantic, Africa, Middle East. And the beta rules are up there on the website, which is what I'll
have to go. I'll download. I'll go look. I'm sorry for asking dumb questions. I'll look it up.
No, that's how everybody gets answers. So this is true. Mannering Mike says you need to get more details on BGG. Yeah, so that is one of the things that he's been doing this pretty much like on his own with his own team, and the marketing side of thing on BGG is definitely not up to snuff yet. Hopefully that will get corrected and get more attention.
I think some of these passion projects like that are where you're going to find some of the most interesting game coming up, but things like that, they're so big, they're so complex, they're so deep and good that one person working on it or a couple people working on it, it's going to take it a while before it's going to see the light of day. And I think some publishers are scared to take the risk with something like that.
Yeah,
because there's so many components to it, There's a risk that it's going to cost.
Well, then you have other people that just become publishers themselves, like Fabrizio,
Right.
that do
Or
the same
Wargame.
thing. Yeah, you just get those
Look,
games out yourself.
Yeah, that's the fabulous thing about all this. This era right now,
He said,
where where companies can just go to Blue Panther and just go. What are you laughing at?
"Go ahead."
That you
Lulu."
said fabulous. It excited him. Watch out!
Fabulous.
There's going to be more goop.
Oh, it's red goop this time. Oh my gosh! But it is fabulous.
Look,
Now
we've seen evidence before that games like that can succeed because what was that game? War Room, right? Huge global game, lots of little pieces
yeah.
involved with it, and
Yep.
that game was wildly successful. He ended up doing a couple of different print runs on that. You know,
Stuka Joe's in the house, and
Stuka!
meandering Mike wants to know: is this one green or a different color? So, because you seem to be getting a little excited again. So,
you
but
bust one green nut, people won't let you forget about it.
all right. So now to get back to Fallujah, which we started talking about, we got sidetracked. Kev, your
Talk about
thoughts?
the Paper Wars one.
No, about the 6 days in Fallujah that we've been playing more than we've played second Fallujah from Paper Wars.
We were actually
So-
talking about war games there for a little while. You would almost
Yeah,
think
I know we
the
started
channels
to
were
talk
about
about
war
war
games.
games.
Yeah. So, Kev, start off with your thoughts so far on what your opinion is on Fallujah being. You are a very accomplished first-person shooter gamer.
I used to be.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you used to
still
be, but
crappy.
you've been out of it for a little while. But you got right back into it, and are the surgeon with the saw.
Yeah, really. Well, so I have a really crappy PC, so it's hard to give it a fair assessment. But I love the randomization of the maps. Number one, that every time we play, it's a slightly different map, and that the enemy's in a different location, and the enemy activity is different every time. And so I love all that. I love the fact that it's incredibly difficult to play as a team. I've played with some, what do you call them? A pickup game, right? And everyone just went
Yeah.
solo rolo, right? And so it was horrible. We were all dead in 3.5 minutes. No one went back to get reinforcements. Oh, what's that? And I think so. I think as a team game, it's got lots of potential. It's got lots of hiccups for a beta, but it's all good. The other thing I think one of the things that kind of frustrates me, but it's kind of cool as well, is that there's no individual scoring. So we don't know that Mo shot the most guys because he runs in front of you all the time and takes all the kills. We don't know that Kev team killed, but we know that someone team killed. And so there's goodness in that.
Although it does tell you when you have an ND. So that is funny.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, I've only got 2. Come on. So, I think if I had a decent PC, I would probably play a lot more of it. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I think you guys probably appreciate it more because you're more in tune with the equipment and the camo and some of the commentary that goes on. I love all the real world interviews that they have with all the players while the games are loading. I think it's obviously because it's beta, it's still a little slow to load. But
they're called Marines, not players. In real life, there is no reset button.
Well, wait, what did I say? Players? I meant.
Well, there is the respawn-ish kind of thing. They call it a defib kit, but
those are called
yeah. Anyway,
wait, now which religion is it where they believe in reincarnation? Is that Hinduism?
I'm not sure.
Hindus, Buddhists,
Maybe.
They believe in reincarnation, so they get a reset button. The rest of us don't.
Cool.
So that's my 2 cents. Carry on,
Nate.
I like the game. Shit, no question.
Well, I mean, are you going to comment
Can
on
you
it?
expand
I like
on
the
that,
game.
maybe?
It's a
All
good
right,
game.
Give me credit.
I've done 2-hour-long videos on that thing already because it's just so good. The only thing I think they're hurting on right now is the fact that they don't have enough scenarios because they only launched with 4 and they do not let you control it. That's a pain in the butt right now.
Yeah.
But once they get friendly AI in, so you can get solo play going, and the campaign, it'll be one of the best shooter games out there, especially at the price. Very reasonable for all the work that they put into it, especially considering it's been years in development. And that was BS too, because you guys remember that they tried to publish this like 12, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a lot of years ago. They tried to publish it and they got attacked for it. And people were saying that they couldn't publish it because it was disrespectful or some shit. And it's like,
which is funny because half the guys that are, you know, consulting on the game are guys who were in that battle.
Yeah.
From the units, you know, they're basically in the game. So if they're good with it, I think everybody could be good with it, you know, and it's a great learning tool as well. So
why can we have games about the Civil War and World War II, World War One, ancient war, every conflict that's ever existed? We got a war game out there covering it, but one where the guys are still alive and walking around. Now all of a sudden it's insulting.
Yeah,
no, there's nothing wrong with it. Make a game on it.
It's
just, by all means.
It's just people's need to bitch, right?
Yeah.
I think they just got to ruin it. They're not, and I pointed this out in the video I did on it. They're paying respect not only to the American people, but the Iraqi people that were involved, because we had Iraqis with us, right? We had our Turks with us.
Yeah. And the Caps and all that stuff too.
Yeah. And these guys are represented in the game. They've got a lot of them who did interviews with for it. Have you watched the videos that you can pull up?
No, I have not. Just the intro video.
Yeah, the intro video is a lot longer. And that first build, you could see the whole thing, but you actually have to go into the menu now to look at it, I believe. But they've got a lot of actual interview footage in there with not only the American service members, but the Iraqis as well. Some of the interpreters.
Nice.
Yeah, people definitely need to check that out because it's given the story from both sides. So they're definitely doing it, paying respect.
Good context. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, to kind of spin off what you guys have said, I do love, that's one of the things that I think is fantastic about the game is that every time you could replay the same map 5-10 times in a row, and every time it restarts, it's reset completely differently. It's going to have the same general structural thing. There's going to be a couple of roads and everything, but the terrain is different. The houses that were there before are now rubble. They're houses in different locations. They're half houses. You know, they're heavily rubbled areas. It's just heavily built up areas. Houses that you have to enter on one way are now turned a different way. I think all that's fantastic because you have to adjust your approaches each time. You really have to use communication. Everybody has to be scanning and looking for threats. And it makes it a lot more enjoyable as a game, as an experience, because the most intense part is like when we do the apartment building and you go in there and you have to clear multiple stories. You have to clear all the rooms because you got to find IEDs that are in that building, defuse them, as well as taking out terrorists that are in those rooms. And they're all pitch black, you know, so you can't, and you don't have enough frags to be fragging every room. So you got to go through that fatal funnel and you got to deal with whoever's on the other side. And sometimes you get shot through a door, sometimes, and you have no chance. You just get shot. So it does give you a better appreciation for the difficulty of dealing with an urban terrain environment and also dealing with the enemy that they were dealing with. These guys were willing to die. They came there to die. So it's not just, hey, I'm going to shoot these guys and run away. Sometimes they do. But like the Fedayeen guys, they're all hopped up on adrenaline and coke, and they're gonna die in place. So it's a really well done immersive game.
It's pretty intense. You
Yeah.
know? It gets intense, right? I every time I finish playing, I keep thinking about, well, you know, if we tackled that level, how would I do it differently? You know, you get what's the best way to approach that as a team versus, you know, like one of you going in or two of us going in. What can we do?
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I think we should be maybe doing next time, like particularly that apartment building, is just let me post up on the door at each one and just do half a mag with the saw and just see what we can damage, right? Versus throwing nades, right? And then you guys roll in, and while they're suppressed or whatever that ends up doing, if it does anything, maybe that's a tactic as well, right?
Well, that's the thing that is interesting about it. Sometimes they'll just stand out in the open and just spray at you, and they
Yeah.
don't hit you. Other guys will be really hyper accurate, which is, again, one of the tweaking things they need to do in the game. But still, either way, it really comes down to communication. You have to shoot, move, communicate. I think that's fantastic. Gets
Yep.
that across.
Yep.
And it's just a very well done game. And if anybody's interested in playing a more realistic angled shooter, that is definitely the one to go, because you are not going to go in there and Leroy Jenkins the thing by yourself. You're going to die. You're going to die eventually. You may get through a couple rooms or even half a building or even a building or two. But when you get to that last building, the objective, you're going to die because you're going to be outnumbered. Yeah. And it's very difficult to clear a building by yourself and then have to deal with the onslaught of a counterattack, things like that. So plus you got V-bids, which first time me and Gimpy were playing was we had a V-bid come out of nowhere, and that was an interesting experience.
I'll tell you what, they definitely nailed that that surprise experience. I just wish they would make it a little more accurate, because I was shooting right where we would shoot at a situation like that, which was the lower part of the windshield, so the bullet would bounce up into him, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't seem to take out the driver. It seems like you have to use explosives to take these guys out. I don't know. I put like a whole mag straight into the driving area, and you can't seem to get him to stop the V-bid that way. So I'd like to see that changed up a little bit, whatever souped up armor they have. But yeah, that gave me a heart attack. That very first one that came driving up on us, because I heard the engine gun. I was like, yeah, we're going to blow up. And screen just goes black when it exploded. Kind of looking around, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not dead. This is great.
Now, Rich brings up an interesting point here. He says, not insulting, just insensitive. However, I would love to see something about current Russo-Ukraine war. Now, I did say to you guys, we were chatting ourselves, I said, when this game comes out, I expect there to be mods that will be about the Russia-Ukraine conflict, because it's in, you got all the buildings and all that stuff. It's already there. So they could probably mod the hell out of it and do that.
You can just go to a kindergarten and start beating up the little kids. It'll be almost the exact same thing.
But as far as modding, and I think it'll happen. However, there will be complaining about that. And my only complaint when it comes to a current war, a current conflict that's happening, ongoing right now, especially this one, is very simple. And that is, we don't know what's really going on. Contrary to what the media is telling us, we're not getting the truth from either side. So that's why I say that any war about this should have to be subtitled the TikTok wars, because that's where all the intel is coming out of, is, from the beginning, especially, it was all on TikTok, and Telegram.
Yeah, a lot of propaganda.
That's the only reason you get any true information out of Iraq or Afghanistan, is because it was American troops. So when they came back, we would
embedded,
right?
Yeah.
So with Ukraine and Russia, you're right. It's just propaganda. We're either getting Western propaganda or Soviet propaganda, whatever they want put out.
Yeah, which is the difficult thing. Plus, all these things need to be analyzed. You need to gather all the information. What units were really there? Things like what were their capabilities? And then you can analyze it.
Strength ratios and efficacy of the equipment that's being used.
Leaders.
The tank is dead. Right? We've all heard that. Okay.
Idiots.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, they have gotten beat back a lot harder than.
That's because they're not being employed with proper combined arms.
Properly, though, right?
Yeah, they have no top cover. You can take out tanks all day. Just like if you have air and you don't have any ground units, including armor, to take out your anti-aircraft, air ain't going to do shit. So it's a combined arms effort. And
why
people that are
wage such an ineffective war, that it makes no sense. They can't be that stupid.
Who?
The Soviets.
The Russians?
Yeah.
Well, the Ukrainians haven't been exactly barn burning either. So
look, I'm not saying they're the brightest, but in a straight up fight with the numbers and the equipment and everything, you never would have expected Ukraine to hold out the way that they have and fight back off the Soviets.
Well, the reason why they've held back the Russians is because of the West.
I keep calling them the Soviets.
Yeah. This is not 1980s anymore. But the reason why is because the West is armed and supplied them with ammunition and everything else and training and all that other stuff. Because if it was Ukraine on its own, this would have been over a long time ago. And the West came in and propped them up and helped them out. And without the West doing that, it's a different ballgame entirely. So, and then we have to know, we don't know what the total involvement is from the West either. Is it just in gathering, sharing intelligence? Is it an ammo?
No, we got troops on the ground.
Do we definitely have boots on the ground? Will that ever come out? When will it come out? What have we had out there? Well, yeah, of course. But, all that's going to come out eventually. And that's why I'm saying we're not going to have a really clear picture that will give a really accurate assessment as far as a game until later after the fact, just like any conflict. That's the only holdup I have with modeling a current conflict. It has nothing to do with it being me being insensitive or anything. It's just I'm curious to know what's going on. I want to see it from both perspectives because I want to be educated on it. And the only way to be educated is to try to go into a war game and play both sides without any bias. And you're going to have your bias, and we all do, but at least I try to, when I play a game, I try to throw bias aside and look at it from that perspective in the tactical problem or the operational problem and see what they had to deal with when encountering the US or whoever. And then vice versa. When I flip to the other side, I want to see what challenges they had. That's the educational part. What's that?
The people who, when it comes to war games, right, if it's got Nazis in it or, SS troops or whatever.
Yeah.
These modern day people who try to act like playing a game that has those people in it it makes you one of them, or makes you, that type of thinking or that shit. It's like
morons.
It's a war game. Blow it out your butt. Like,
it's a game.
Just because I like German tanks doesn't mean that I thought Hitler was, A on point during World War II.
Right.
The Tiger's just a cool tank, or the Panther's just a cool tank.
It was. The Panther was a workhorse. Yeah.
It seems like there are a couple of companies that are trying to cash in pretty quickly on the whole Ukraine-Russian thing, right? With pretty naughty, bullshitty designs that are kind of slapped together. And we're almost ready. I don't know what GMT Mark Herman's game is going to be, but it's supposed to be about the early part of the war.
Yeah.
But even still, we really don't know what's going on unless he's got access to sources. Then there's other, non-event game publishers that are trying to, cash in as well.
Are they going to do a coin game?
No, he's going to do
a coin. It's a proper hex encounter.
Yeah,
I could see them doing a coin game based on the early part of the Ukraine war.
How to do a coin game? It's not four parties.
It's literally Russia against everybody. When you break it down, it's Russia. Yeah. They're getting probably some assistance from China now, but then it's Russia against Ukraine. But then it became Russia against the West and, NATO and with some assistance from China. So I don't think it would fit into a coin type of situation. Plus, I think you really it needs to be done in a hex encounter or area impulse or something like that.
You wouldn't think coin would work for it because the Ukrainians, they arm so many of their civilians.
Yeah, but what are you trying to do? Coin is... the coin game system is really
counterinsurgency.
No, the coin game system. The coin game system itself is manipulating your teammate to try to help you while there's negotiation involved. There's trying to pin them into a tight corner and try to angle people to do for you while you're acting like you're doing for them.
Right. It's co-opetition.
Yes.
2v2. But one person screwing their partner and the two people they're playing against.
Which, when it comes to real world, is good.
Done coin. You could have Ukraine versus Russia with the background forces being like the Western nations and like China, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think something like that could work. I mean, you can make a coin system out of damn near.
Well, you should make it. Well, they've made a lot of games, right? I mean, and half of them are coin games. They're just using the coin system to represent a set of factions play. It's not counterinsurgency anymore. It's just a game system. It's like the Levian campaign or whatever it's called. system. It's going to be a system of gameplay.
Well, I like coin games. I've enjoyed those. So.
Well, the thing too about coin is itself. Now, coin the strategy is a failed strategy. It's what was that?
I was waving bye to Kev.
He's going to eat. But I mean, it really is a failed strategy when you think about it, because look at the times that we've tried to do counterinsurgency, where we spend all that money, put all that effort into trying to win over people, and then we don't do enough to destroy the enemy. And the point of going to war, if you're going to send troops to war, is to destroy their ability to make war, break their will to make war, end the war, be done with it. But we don't fight like that anymore. And that's a whole different discussion on its own. But really, if you're going to do counterinsurgency, you want to destroy the enemy. You don't want to just sit out there and, okay, well, you're my friend here. I'll pay you. I'll pay you. I'll pay you. It's not going to work, because it just leads to more corruption and nothing ever gets solved. And that's the problem with it.
Why do you think Marines don't do a good job as occupying force? Having us be in Iraq or Afghanistan for all this time, it just didn't work. It was like when they sent in Marines to quell the LA riots.
Meandering Mike saying, you mean I can't carry 24 flashbangs? There are no bangers, at least so far to this point, just frags. So
frags and smoke.
And smoke too, which is an odd choice that they went with red. But and then there's a good point too. First war with drones playing a big role. That is very true. So that does change. That is a good change in warfare that will need to be reflected, I think, in all modern games going forward. Would be the role of drone warfare, even in low level conflict, because Ukraine has shown that now people can get their own UAVs overhead, their own drones, and get their own intel for pretty cheap, and even if it's okay, this is going to sound funny, but even if it's like $100, $200 crappy little drone, it gets taken out. Okay, great. But guess what? I just got a quick scan overhead of the battlefield. I know generally where the strong points are. So I lost that $200 asset. I can go get another one.
Have you seen the videos where they're using a drone and they
dropping
got
grenades
a grenade hooked to it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just dropping them down, blowing up little ammunition depots and shit like that.
Yeah.
I think friggin' GMT, they would be missing a profitable venture to take and make a coin system out of the Ukraine war. I mean, so many people know about it. People are interested in it.
If there's a chance to make a coin game on it, they'll do it. So
I think I'd like to make it. I'd play it.
Mike says so much Russian corruption has left them poorly supplied and maintained.
That probably is right, though. You got to think how many of their commanders were like selling off supplies.
Well, that and
faking repairs, maintenance.
You want to talk corruption, though, you got to talk both sides, because Ukraine is corrupt as hell too. So neither is free of corruption, So there's that too.
But the American military is one of the only militaries on the world that actually tries to stay prepared and vigilant. Right?
Tries. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying we don't do dumb stuff, but we actually try to maintain our equipment, maintain our standards, maintain our troops. At least up until recently, when the Marine Corps started doing some really ass backward shit.
So I'm just catching up on all the comments. So you didn't miss anything, Kev, on anything that we were talking about, really.
You're good. I was watching and listening to the.
Oh, okay. Really makes me think, if the same Russia that was Soviet Union, how would this all pan out in 1985? That is something that a lot of people. This goes back to what Kevin said before about the age of the tank is over. There were all the armchair generals saying the age of the tank is over. See, all the World War III games are now BS because the Soviets would have fought. Totally different time. Totally different armies.
They didn't have laser-guided missiles in 1985.
Yeah,
I mean, not the type that we have now.
Well, not just that, but we had overwhelmed them by the 80s. By the mid 80s, it would have been a different ballgame. By the late 80s, it was game over for the Soviets, and that was also why the Soviets collapsed. But prior to that, it would have been a different ballgame in their favor. So there's, something to be said about that as well, because we were coming out of Vietnam and we were having to rebuild the military, and they were already built up to that point. And then they got into their
70s, late 70s was an early time, right? A great time, rather.
Yeah. Then they got into Afghanistan, which was their Vietnam, and that changed their military. But you also have to remember, if we did have a fight in the 80s, they would have had blooded combat veterans that would have been facing us. We would have as well, but a lot of those guys had gotten out because Vietnam was like 10 years on at that point. So it's a different era entirely. So it's not a fair comparison to say, looking at today's situation in Ukraine and Russia versus today. Plus, they were using combined arms. They did not do that in Ukraine when we were seeing all these tanks just driving down the road. It's like, okay, where's your top cover? Where's your infantry support? Where's your screening forces? Where's your reconnaissance? Where's your flank support? None of that was there. They were just meandering down the road like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they even knew that in World War II, that tanks without infantry cover would just get chewed up.
Yeah. And, that's the thing. It's a combined team. Tanks need infantry, especially in built up locations. Obviously, you don't need infantry in the open plains because that's where the tank is king, because you can head out to a couple kilometers. But you have, when it comes to like built up terrain, you need to have infantry to back you up. So that way, because that tank doesn't have 360 presence, it can't see 360 all the time like infantry can. But the infantry needs a tank too to knock down buildings or to just bust open a door, take down a wall, whatever. So it's a good team.
Yeah, I think one of the things that impressed me with Iraq and Afghanistan was the lack of the number of tanks that were lost in urban combat because of good usage of tactics, right?
Yeah.
So, versus what we saw in Georgia, and what we're seeing now, we saw real gun-ho, dumb tactical application. And same with the Saudi Arabians and the Yemenis. Against the Yemenis, they lost one or two M1s because they just had them sitting out in the field by themselves.
Yeah. No, it's true.
That's something I actually think they have a hard time showing in war games now, like Hex and Counter type, is the actual threat that infantry can pose to an armored vehicle, because it's so hard to manipulate that when you're trying to represent the armor factors that a vehicle has, and then simulate the fact that infantry has whatever attack, right? One of the games I'm playing now, bazookas only have a range of a couple of hexes, but the tank has a range of 6, 12, whatever hexes. So the tank is not vulnerable to the infantry until it gets really close, and it has no reason to get really close.
There's a good thought by Grognard Rich saying, coin is always an operational concern, but kinetic warfare is also an imperative. And that's that. And that's where the coin system itself really just ends up being a strategy game and it loses me because of that. And it's not anything against it. It's just, that's where it loses me. I want the kinetic aspect I want a war game.
Yeah.
I want to get in there and fight.
I've always found coin to be a little bit more like, what card do I play to place a resource or take a resource versus kinetic combat? And there may be a die roll involved for it, right? I got to roll 5 or a 6 to make something happen, but it's still not what I would call kinetic combat or combat mechanics in a true war game. So it's more a strategy game to me as well. It may be a conflict strategy game where we're representing a violent conflict, but it's not a war game per se.
No, because there's no representative units and there's no actual, you have tanks and I've got only infantry and, we got artillery and air. It's none of that. It's you've got
a red cube, I've got a blue cube, and I rolled a 6, you didn't.
Yep.
Your cube dies.
But I have 2 of them.
Now
we're
playing Axis and Allies with cubes.
Yeah.
Hey, plenty of war games use cubes. You can use little wooden cubes.
Well, you can abstract it out, but if it, like a good example, that's the Birth of America series. That is more kinetic in the fact that you're playing cards and you have cubes, but you also have special dice, and you are actually doing kinetic warfare. It's very simplistic, but it is still a war game. So I just want to catch up on the last comments. We're going to wrap up here in a couple minutes. All the talk about warfare by proxy drone makes me want to go watch Good Kill again. There you go. Russia, where the guy that makes sure that 1,000 or 100 plus vehicles get stuck on one lane road in the mud. This is true.
Yeah, you've got to, well, of course, they went through that whole reorg with that battalion strength concept of theirs, that or brigade strength concept, whatever it was, that clearly didn't work. So that's caused problems for them. That was a strategy they came out with, I don't know when, in the 90s or whatever, early 2000s. It's going to be their new model for warfare, and it's blown up in their face in the face of different technology and different capabilities.
This is a good point.
Yeah, I think he's referring to the 80s there.
Yeah, well, it is the 80s, but even if they were to do that today, T-54, 55 versus an M1 is a joke. I mean, it's just like, okay, I might as well just plop, plywood targets for the M1s at that point. However, something that people need to remember, Soviet echelon was just, I'm going to hit you with waves. I don't care about my equipment. I don't care about my men. I'm going to just keep throwing equipment
so you're at ammo, right?
And you waste a lot of ammo. And at the same time, they're dropping arty, because one thing Russia does very well is they bring a lot of arty to the party. So that's one thing. That's another consideration as well. Right. And even though you got an M1 that's going to kill it 2+ kilometers away, it uses a roundup every time it kills one of those tanks. So, those are all considerations too. So, but yeah, I think that your cube dies. Meeples need more war meeples. So what sounds like you need a historical.
There are good games that have meeples in it. Don't hate.
Oh, don't hate them. But we're talking war games.
No, we're talking about war games. So.
War games with meeples can be awesome. I can't remember the name of that little game.
See, there you go. It's so awesome.
It's so good you can't remember it.
It's the Tiny Epic Mechs, I think, is it?
Oh, Tiny Epic. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it's not a Tiny Epic Mechs. They've got little meeples that you can put body armor on, put little weapons in them, and they obviously it's not a war game, but it's a cool little game.
There you go. Well, like I said before, we got a free game giveaway. Meandering Mike, he's trying to get up to 500 subs. So get over there, sub to his channel. He's giving away 5 different games. And of course, like I said as well, Admiral Seabass has Global War 1985. Go check that out also. And if you are playing, there you go. Finally, he quieted her down.
Sorry, I forgot to mute it.
That's okay. If you are playing or going to play 6 Days in Fallujah, let us know, and we'll bring you into be our 4th, because we need a 4th for the Whiskey Charlie Fire Team. So it's a lot of fun. We've been playing it a lot, and just let us know. We'll bring you in and have a good time. But appreciate you guys tuning in. What's that?
You can't have the saw. That's my gun.
No. That's Kev. Kev is the surgeon with the saw. So that's it. You can be anything else. But we're going to close it out for tonight, and we will catch up with you guys next month. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And Nate's little girl, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Blow us a kiss.
Can you blow a kiss? No, you're just going to say bye.
All right. Good night, everybody.